Hi guys. So in this video I'm going to talk about Partscasters. Initially I'm going to talk about why you should build a Partscaster, and then I'm going to talk about how to do it. So Partscaster, as opposed to a kit guitar, it's a guitar made of parts. I mean, a kit guitar is a box full of parts that you'll get. Oftentimes the parts that you get aren't quality parts, and the manufacturers will even tell you that if you upgrade the pickups you'll get a better sound, or whatever, and that goes for the rest of the parts in the kit as well. So you end up with a bunch of spare parts that you're not going to use on anything because they're of low quality. There are all kinds of parts that you can get on the internet of all ranges. You can spend as little or as much as you want on parts, and I'm going to talk about how you can get the parts for your dream guitar. You'll save a lot of money over building a custom guitar, and you can have exactly the guitar that you want, completely according to your own specifications. I bought this body probably a year ago, but on Reverb from a company called Rosser Guitars, and they don't make this exact item anymore. This is white pine, so it's really light, and they don't sell on Reverb anymore, but you can still get his products on eBay. I also bought this neck from eBay. It's a Gibson scale conversion neck for a Strat neck pocket, and that's what this is. This is built to accept a Strat neck, and so this is kind of a hybrid guitar. There's a lot of different philosophies kind of all going into one, and that was what I was looking for in this. And you wouldn't be able to get something like that if you went to Fender Custom Shop or one of the other manufacturers that does custom work. I suppose you could mail them a picture of your dream guitar, but they're going to charge you a lot of money to make it. So make your own, and it's easy to do. I did this in my apartment with minimal tools, and I'm going to show you those tools in this video. So yeah, it's something you can do, and you don't have to devalue an expensive instrument to get exactly the guitar that you want.
Okay, here I'm using a tool on the Offset Guitars forum to mock up the Jazzmaster, and it has options for different pickups, different finishes, and I think I was just running through all of the different options just as a demonstration, but I kind of knew what I was going for. So the guitar that you see on the screen is pretty much what I was shooting for. So let's see if we get that result in the end. You don't actually have to do a full mock-up of your guitar. You can also look at pictures on the internet of existing guitars and plan your guitar accordingly. So after you've designed your guitar, it's a good idea to make a list of all the parts that you'll be buying so that you don't get confused and leave out anything when you're making your order. Remember to pick up items like shielding material or the Pickguard screws, which you can't just get at the hardware store. So I've mentioned that you can get your bodies and necks on eBay as well as on other sources. When you're shopping for bodies and necks on eBay, be aware that there's various levels of quality, and you may get better results with some of the better known brands, or at least ones that have a brand name. Also be aware that there are a couple different scale lengths. So if you're looking for a Strat type guitar body, then you should use a 25.5-inch scale length, or you'll have to radically move the bridge somehow, which could be a lot of work. So I got all the hardware for my guitar on Guitar Fetish. I got the neck and the body already, as I'd mentioned, on eBay and Reverb.
but you can also get necks and bodies on Guitar Fetish, as you see here.
There are loads of different pickup options, different sizes, and depending on the cavities that your guitar body has or your willingness to modify the guitar body, that certainly opens up your options. My guitar came with humbucker routes, but I changed my mind and decided to use the Strat configuration. So I went with these little killer pickups, which are they're kind of like hot rails. They're similar to humbuckers in a single coil space. I opted for the quick plug version of these pickups, and those are compatible with these pre-configured wiring harnesses. So if you're not a fan of soldering, these are a pretty handy option, and they don't cost much more than the components themselves. So if the configuration of your guitar is standard enough that you might be able to find a pre-wired harness, give it a shot. You can also just buy the individual pots, caps, and switches for your build if you know what you're doing. General rule of thumb is that humbuckers take 500K pots and single coils take 250K pots. If you need help, a great resource for planning your guitar's electronics is guitarelectronics.com. There's a configurator which offers free schematics for a lot of commonly used layouts for guitars. And you might find something close or, depending on your needs, exact that you can use and even modify to meet your exact specifications. Another area where research really pays off is in things like the tuner bushings. The neck that I bought was drilled out for the modern 10mm tuners, and I wanted to use the Kluson style classic tuners, so I needed to get these conversion bushings, and those will allow you to install the classic style tuners in the larger peg holes without them rattling around. I also want to point out that if you're on a budget, these sites will often have a clearance section, and Guitar Fetish has a couple different areas where you can save money. One of them being the OEM parts area, and those are parts that aren't manufactured by Guitar Fetish, but they do have them at reduced prices. And also they have a factory buyout section where they sell parts from other manufacturers. So there are a couple of other places that you can get parts. I've used StewMac in the past. I bought necks and other hardware as well as a bunch of tools. But they do tend to be a little bit more expensive, so that's something to be aware of when you're on a budget. Another place is All Parts, and they really do have all the parts that you'd ever need to build a guitar. So when you think you've got all the parts in your cart, go ahead and check your list again just to make sure that you're not missing anything, as it does suck to have to wait another week for parts to come in when you're building a guitar. Thanks for watching. I'm going to put the parts list in the description below, as well as all the links that I've talked about in the video. And next week we're going to start actually modifying the body to accept the parts and get started on the build.